Yo, 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 what it do, what it do? It's your boy Yellow the Poet, and I'm welcoming everybody to YTP Entertainment. Greatly appreciate you all stopping through, checking us out. The topic of today is actually going to be, do I talk to her or do I keep it to myself? So, I also have my beautiful wife here, Miss Davis. I also have my co-host. She got to come back in a minute. Patricia Ann. So we're going to get this thing rocking. I hope that you all enjoy this. Everybody get something from it, learn something from it, and we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. So I'm going to start off by saying a lot of us, here she come, here come my co-host. So I'm going to start off by saying a lot of us fail to communicate with our significant others. And a lot of times that come from us having that typical ego or just being so secretive that we feel like that the lines of trust will at some point be broken. But that's not always the case. Sometimes we just got to learn to grow with one another and understand that without communication, we really don't have a relationship. When you first got with that woman, what was the first thing that you did? You started talking to her. You opened your mouth. You used your body language. You did all these things that you need to do in order to get this woman into your life. Sometimes the relationship lasts a long time, sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of the day, you realize when you first got with this woman that communication was one of the most important things that you could have ever done when she finally said yes to you. OMG. When she say yes, boy, you like, woo, heart pumping. Oh yeah, bro, you went and told all your homies, hey, bro, I got one. I think she gonna be the one, man. This is the one right here.
I don't know.
I didn't really say too much in my relationship when my relationship got started because I was too shy. I was too shy to say anything though.
I'm the outspoken.
But nonetheless, we got a great bond. We got a great communication, open line of communication right now. And it'll never change. It'll never change because I never shut down or share her out in anything that I got going on. I feel like she should be a part of it. You know what I'm saying? And my girl, Pat, she done made it. She's back. What's up, Miss Pat? It's good to have you. Pat is the co-host for YTP Entertainment. We're going to definitely get a few words from Miss Pat. Let us know what you got going on, Miss Pat. Talk to us about this topic.
Well, I'm excited about this topic because we talked about this topic a long time ago. And first of all, to the woman that's sitting beside you, hello, it's good to meet you.
How are you?
About you, he always talk highly of you. So that is just because a man is no greater than what he speaks of his spouse. I'm a true believer. So nice meeting you.
Thank you too.
I'm very excited about this topic because a lot of times we don't communicate, and you know, different spectrums of this thing, and I'm an over communicator, and I believe if you don't communicate, you're just putting trash up under the rug until it piles up, and then you're in a relationship by yourself. It's too.
That is so true.
But your process, like, I've lost myself a lot of times. I lost who I was, what I was, to be everything to that person, and to realize that I was still never going to be enough because ultimately they just wanted me to be destroyed. And the reason why I say that, people say, no, yes, it is if they do all these things to destroy me. So I I believe I live without regrets. Hindsight, we can go back and say, I wish I wouldn't have done that. But if I wouldn't have done that, then I would have not known where I am today. So I regrets with giving my all. It's me finding myself, loving myself, and make sure I do not end up in these situations again. And I've always been that type of woman. I give my all. I love to cook, I love to clean, I love to serve, I love to do all those things, right?
Yeah.
What you say, sis?
That's me. That is me all the way. And my sister, when I was younger, my sisters used to get so mad at me. They used to get so mad at me. They're like, why do you keep doing that? Stop doing everything for people because they not returning that to you. Why do you do that? I'm just like, well, if I could do it, if I got it, I'm gonna do it. Because I got it. So I'm not looking for payback. I'm just doing it because that's what I want or choose to do. So it took me a minute to learn like what they really were trying to tell me. And once I finally got it, I did pull back quite a bit and I started to reserve it only for those who truly deserve it.
Absolutely. And that's where I'm at.
Do it freely. Yeah.
Because I'm 49 years old. Like, I'm too old to keep doing this, right? So if I'm not trying to match my energy, they're just not going to get it.
Exactly.
Exactly. They got it and they didn't match it. Now I have to get myself in check and get myself back straight and narrow. Exactly. No matter how much I'm going to cry. I didn't say it was easy. But at the end of the day, how long do I keep spinning out of control? Yeah. So, exactly. It's going to build the woman I am. But what I will not do is become bitter and make it worse for the next that had nothing to do with it. Because eventually, I just believe that I was just a wrong woman. I mean, the right woman to all the wrong men.
Yeah.
Because people's like, how are you still single? Because I believe, just me. I believe a woman should know how to cook from scratch, bake from scratch, do all these things. And they're like, how are you still single? Because what I came to realize, a lot of men really don't even want that.
Well, I'll put it, I want to add something to that. It's sometimes that is the case, but then other times is that a lot of men really don't understand the value that a woman has to them. They're too consumed into this old-fashioned way. When I say old-fashioned, I'm only talking about as far back as our grandfathers and great-grandfathers, things of that nature. That's about how far back I'm talking about. They're too consumed with that lifestyle, that way of living, because those fathers back then had the wives that felt that they had to be submissive to that man. And you don't have to be submissive to a man. You have to be you. You have to be oneself. And it's not about who's going to be submissive to who. It's about who actually bonds, who actually has the strengths to counter the weaknesses in the relationship. Our strengths and our weaknesses counter one another. My wife is the bold one, the more blunt one. I'm the more laid back one. I'm the one that's kind of chill.
He's the patient one.
Yeah.
He's like the calm to my storm. Let's just put it that way. I'm more like little Taz. When I get angry, I'm the Tasmanian devil. I'm like the rage lunatic. Whereas him, he's the calm, rational one who's like, okay, wait, calm down. Let's figure this out. And he knows, like, when I'm angry, I really don't want to hear nobody talking to me. Like, don't look at like you want to talk to me. I'm not rational. I'm irrational. But he can get me to calm to the point where I will actually listen to what he's saying, and then it'll still take me like maybe another hour before I really let it sink into my brain. And then after that, okay, we back down to the calmness. We back down to the, but with what you said, as far as a lot of men think of it in the aspect of how the grandparents were. Well, honestly, it depends on the grandparents, because my grandparents were like, I'm just saying, my grandparents was like the complete opposite.
Right.
Like, My grandfather be at all house with her. I never seen my grandma do. My grandma dictated. She was the dictator. She told you what this is where to go, all that. When she said spring cleaning, she meant spring cleaning. I mean, everybody up in there, all she doing is supervise. She sitting back like this. Like, you know, she's the supervisor. So it depends. And my great aunt, her sister was the same. It's like I grew up with a strong female dynamic. So it was hard for me. That S word that you mentioned, I can't even put that word
Talking about submissive, y'all.
that's my DNA to do that. When I'm nice to somebody or I'm giving to somebody, that's just me. That's my personality, and I do it because that's just who I am. But it didn't really have because if I was to take my grandmother page from her book, really wouldn't be getting into you. Really, I'm not just gonna give you. You know what? No. You got to show me. That's not how that works. And my great aunt, her, we grew up hearing it every single time. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. Mm-hmm. And from the time I was little, when I'm hearing her say, I didn't understand what she meant. Finally, I asked her, Mama, what do you mean when you say that? You've been telling us this all our life. What do you mean when you say that? She said, well, I'm gonna put it to you this way. Nobody's gonna have your back like you have your back. Nobody's gonna make sure you good like you make sure you good.
Except for in this case.
He's an exception. But at the end of the day, she pretty much you gotta make sure you're self-sufficient, you're self-reliant, you're able to do for you, not be dependent upon others to do for you. You take care of you. And then if you have children or whatever, you make sure they're good too. Mm-hmm. Self-preservation, you don't depend on anybody else, you depend on just yourself. Mm-hmm. That's it, that's all.
She used to say it to me too. Her mom used to say it to me too. She would say, self-preservation is the first law of nature.
That was like drilled into our brain. Self-preservation is first law of nature. So it's like, even if we feel like, you get certain challenges thrown at you, and you just feel like you want to throw your hands and be like, I'm tired. I want to do this. Them words would click, like, come straight in my head. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What did I tell you? You better get up.
So I want to ask some questions. First, before I ask the questions, I want to point out a few. My bro, Rodney, many blessings to you and your wife, because y'all been together for a while. My boy Sam, many blessings to you and Natasha. I grew up with these two, with him and his wife. We actually grew up in the same neighborhood, Chicago, and we had a ball too. We was always cool. Never had any confrontations or anything. Yeah. But you all are still fairly newlyweds, so congratulations to you all. Many blessings on y'all getting married. That's awesome thing. You know what I'm saying? So, for Sam and Rodney, whichever one of y'all want to go first, what are some of the things that you all do in your relationship that has made it last for so long?
Oh, I know. You go ahead, Sam. I'll let you speak first.
Communication, that's a big one. We talk every day, no matter what. I mean, if it's just to say hello, how you doing, that's usually the start of all conversations. And at the same time, just checking in, because we both work very busy jobs.
Yes.
And sometimes different shifts almost. So I'm usually the one that's constantly making sure we had that communication, even though sometimes that could be a little nerve-wracking. But I mean, but like you say, every relationship starts with a conversation, no matter what the case. And I can relate with Shannon being very shy early on growing up with grandparents from that infamous silent generation, as they call them, they will surprise you in many ways.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things I learned from them that finally caught into this head of mine 20 years later. And even though they're all gone now, I still know they're kind of laughing at me right now. I'm just thinking about this. But a conversation every day is key. You know, they say silence is a killer. Yeah, it can be a killer at times if you're not careful.
Yeah. But sometimes it can be a blessing too.
Right. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Like Shannon say, we literally came out of the same high school 32, 33 years ago now.
Yeah.
And funny thing, me and my wife, we didn't know each other when we was in high school. We kind of, you know how you walk past people through high school, then suddenly you see them 20 years later. It's like, you went to high school with me. It was kind of like that. We kind of knew of each other, but didn't know each other. And then we meet up 20 years later, and suddenly we knew some of everybody.
Yep.
But
Yep.
on different angles.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty unique connection.
That's what's
like
up.
me and Shannon, for instance, we was in the same math class, I think 2 years straight. If am I correct on that?
Huh?
Math class. You said the same math.
Me and Shannon.
Yeah, we had Mr.
Satissarat.
Yeah, Mr. Satissarat. Yeah, the Asian dude.
He was from Thailand.
Yep.
And the crazy thing about this teacher, this guy was unique in his own right. He always bragged about his big fat black wife.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. He did. He used to say that for real. He did. He said.
And we used to sit in the back looking like, what?
Like, why would you call your wife big fat? But hey, evidently it worked. It worked.
Hey, it was no shame in this game. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah,
I always managed to get away with a B or a C with him because I was not a math person.
That's all good. That's what's up, Sam. Come on, Rodney, tell us what you got, bro. Hook us up with some good info.
I tell you what, what for me, you there?
Yeah.
For me, I've been married over 30 years to my wife, and every morning it starts out with "Good morning, baby." Throughout the day, she'll send me text messages, like little hearts and stuff like that, that I look at, what have you, and see, when I stopped on a break or what have you. But it amazes me, after 30 years, we're still best friends, and and all it has to do with talking to each other, because if you don't talk, your relationship does not go nowhere. And a lot of the kids nowadays, they just don't understand it. And I learned this from my grandparents, my aunt and my uncle, about how a good relationship is supposed to be. It's a 50-50 deal where you work together, because it is work. A marriage is really good work.
Yeah.
And if you do not work in your marriage is not going to thrive. And everybody wants their marriage to thrive. Nobody wants their marriage to dissipate and go way of a divorce and all. Because all that does is hurt kids and future generations. Mm-hmm. And there's too much of that in this day and age, from deadbeat dads to dads just not wanting to show up or not even caring. I dealt with that in my life. Mm-hmm. And I broke the pattern for me and my kids, where, I wanted difference for their lives. I wanted them to know that they have a mother and a father that there for them and care for them and love them, and so, yes, you got your ups and your downs, your bad days and your good days.
Yes.
But you have to fight for every single day, because that's what it means to be in a marriage. You fight for what is yours.
Yes, indeed.
And my wife is my rock. I'm not gonna lie, she does all my bills and everything, and I make the money, and she works hard. She's a god. She works hard just like us, you know. Drives that bus too, and also she works her other job at Target, and she don't never take no time off. And but you know, we have our 10-15 minutes here in the morning time, and then we talk at lunchtime, and then in the evening time before we get ready to go to bed, because we got to be in bed early because we got to get up early again.
That's true. That's true. We got to get up pretty early.
And I've always been taught by my grandmother, never go to bed angry, because that anger will just fester and fester, and that's not right. Even if you weren't wrong, it's okay to compromise and say, baby, I'm sorry, because she is your queen and you are the king, and ain't nothing gonna come between a king and a queen, because you have to take care of your family. And it starts every morning with communication, just a good morning, hello, I love you, and too many young adults don't say these things anymore. They don't fight for what they want. They don't talk about what they want, and they don't realize what they want,
Don't take anything serious.
Exactly. It's to me, I guess it's a game to these kids nowadays, because
Whatever.
it's and like I said, it's easy to get a divorce. Anybody can get a divorce. It's hard to stay married. It's hard. It's not easy, because life throws you curves, and you got to be ready for those curves. And you both have to be strong for one another, because you don't know what it's going to be. Like my wife, she had to be strong for me, because before I came over to what I was doing now with you guys, with you and Miss Pat, I was driving the semi truck. And, I had them dark days where I wasn't getting help for my PTSD. And it finally took my wife saving my life for me to get help, to seek out and to understand, because I would lash out at her for no reasons and not know why I was doing this, until I started going to see a therapist and everything. But she was my rock during those times, and she did not leave my side,
Yes, indeed.
And that's what you need in marriage, and a relationship. And I've taught this stuff to my kids, that what my grandparents taught to me, my aunt, my uncle taught to me, I didn't learn it from my dad, because my dad was never around. So I didn't have a father. I learned it from growing up in other homes that, weren't my original home. And then also from learning from my father-in-law, how to be a man, a husband, a father, because he taught me a lot, in the 10 years that I knew him before he passed away, and I'll never forget what he gave me, and because he talked to me one time where we were struggling real bad. It's about, probably 5-6 years in, everybody says that it's 5-year itch and all, Well, that time I'm not lying, it happens. It happens. And we were going through some real bad struggles. And he says, you know what? You could give up or you can man up. He says, it's easy to give up. It's not so easy to man up.
Yeah.
And so I took his word to heart, and I went full forward at that point. It's my time where I said, I'm not giving up on my marriage. I'm not going to be like my father and many more in this country that give up on their family.
Yeah. You got to think things through. You have to think things through, because if you don't think things through, then you're only setting yourself up for failure. The only way to set yourself up for success is to, one, you got to know the boundaries in your relationship. You have to know the boundaries within oneself first, because just like my wife just stated that her mom told her, the first law of nature, self-preservation. So with self-preservation, the one thing that we all have to do is to know who we are. Once we know who we are, then we can take that same energy and protrude that energy to our counterparts, to our significant others, to our friends, to our children. We can protrude that energy to them. And once they are accepting of that energy, at that point, we start to know what our likes and dislikes are. We start to know what our weaknesses and our strengths are, and our counterparts are able to step in and say, hey, I can do this, I can do that. These are things that I see that you may be lacking in, and I can actually help you in that area of your life.
Yeah.
Now you looking at longevity,
But
looking at a long-term relationship at
with
that
that
point.
though, the other counterpart, they also have to be willing to put in that work too.
Mhm.
Because it just can't be one person doing it and the other person is not. That will never work. That's like oil and vinegar. So the other person ends up wasting all their energy while the other person just continuing to think they can do whatever they want because that person is still gonna be there. No, that's not how it works. If I'm giving 200%, not no 100, 200, and you are giving me 50, and this turned into some years that you still want to giving me 50, it's time to go.
Yeah.
It's time to go because that is when self-preservation kicks in. Why? Because I need to be concerned about my mental state, not doing something that I probably shouldn't do.
Yeah.
I like freedom.
Yeah.
So it's time for me to move on, go away, and start new, and that's how that would work. Hence, this is where my sisters and them taught me that lesson. Stop giving, and people just take.
Yeah.
No, they not giving you just as much as you giving them. No. It has to go. It's time to go. Bye.
So you all welcome, Mom. Thank you for joining us. My mom is actually in here, and her and her husband has been together for a long time too. So, Mom, I asked the question, what? Yeah, Vente. That's Vente. That's my cousin. The question was, what has helped to make your relationship last a long time? So each one of us that have had the long-term relationship were stepping in and making a statement and giving some advice on what made our relationship work. So give us some pointers on what made your relationship work for so long. The audio just went off. Can you hear me, Mom? She just waved. She just waved.
Yeah, I'm not sure any of that.
Can
Yeah,
you
she
hear?
said it. No,
Yep, she
can't
said
hear.
it. That is so crazy.
Excuse me while I walk around the house. I'm
Oh,
doing my
hey, do
my
what you
chores.
man.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do. Do what you
Yeah.
gotta do. So
Gotta-
another thing that can be added to what my wife was saying is what Rodney was saying too, is that in the relationship, some of the other things that we need to be mindful of is we need to be mindful of being able to compromise, because without compromise, you know, you got to understand that everyone has a tolerance level, but are there some things that she'll do or that I would do that can be tolerated or cannot be tolerated? Or is there a way for us to come together and say, hey, now that I understand your point of view, let's compromise. Let's see what we can do to work through this. And as long as we're able to work through things, that also helps to create the longevity in the relationship, keep the lines of communication open, and to keep peace. Because that's one thing that a lot of relationships don't have is peace. And you have to keep the peace in the relationship.
Back to the initial topic. Do you guys voice what's going on inside to your significant other, wife, girlfriend, whatever? Do y'all voice or let me Why is it so hard for you all to do that? That's the question. Because you're more than capable of doing it, but why is it so hard to do?
Well, I would say, speaking from experience, that a lot of times we have an issue with speaking it because let's say that, okay, like for example, with you, I've been with you, it's been a long time. It's been more than 25 years. So all this time that we've actually been together has been great. But in previous relationships, carrying baggage sometimes causes a problem because we brought baggage from the previous relationship into this relationship. What I thought would happen in the previous relationship, I'm bringing it over here thinking that that same thing may happen. Maybe like take for example, in the previous relationship, whichever one it was, I was not able to go to my companion and say, hey, this young lady said something to me and it made me think about something, without that turning into an argument. Oh, was you trying to talk to her? Was y'all trying to get together? Was she trying to, like, hold on. It had nothing to do with any of that. But then, I mean, I'm not that type of person. I'm not saying that this is what I've done, but I do know guys who have actually done that. So they've actually taken that and they would not talk to the next woman that they get with, not even giving her a chance to say, hey, I'm not like the person that you was with in the past. I'm this way. But how do you know what way she is if you're not communicating with her? How do you know if she's that jealous type or she's that type that just take something and turn it into something else? And the same thing with guys. We all have those issues sometimes, and you can't just blame it on the female, say she's the only one that's like that, because there are guys out here that are just the same. It's no different.
Well, see, it's that guard. I
Mhm.
think everybody goes into a relationship with a certain level of guard up, which is, I guess, kind of good because you're not for sure, like 100%. So you kind of testing to see the flow of how everything is gonna go. That's fine. But I would think maybe after 6 months, you pretty much know how that flow is gonna go. That's that to me. I think 6 months is a good enough time frame for you to know whether or not you could actually open up to a person or not.
Right. So Pat, let me ask you, in past relationships, are those some issues that you yourself have actually dealt with coming from yourself to the guy, or vice versa? Is there some things that's ever happened with you?
I've always been an open person. What you see is what you get.
There you
And so, because I have always been to be 100% authentic, so you know what you're getting. So
Yeah.
if I'm a little crazy, you're gonna know I'm a little crazy. If you know I'm a little moody, you're gonna know I'm a little moody, because we need to show each other who we are so we won't have no false representations of each other.
Mhm.
Well, if that was returned, a lot of times, I was like, man, I believe people should live together first, because you never know what you have until you live with it first. Because a lot of times people will fake who they are, and they only can fake so long when you living in a household. Because when you're not living in a household together, it's easy. You're traveling up and down the highway. All you got to do is be good for this amount of time until you say I do, and you can do that for years. But you don't know someone until you live with them. And I have always been, once I'm in, and it takes me a long time to get out, because I will over communicate. I will say the same thing over and over in different phrases, because I'm really trying to get you to understand. Because before I tap out, I got to know that I tapped into every resource that I could do. So when it's over, I don't have any regret, because I don't want to be, I should have did this. Oh, well, I should have did that. I should have let my pride down. I should have let my guard down. I should have just risked crying and being hurt. Well, you go through all those things, you don't have regrets in the end. And I don't even regret even letting a person in, because now it's of course you at the beginning because you're going through so much hurt and pain. And I was listening to Rodney say, these young people, it's not these young folks, it's these old people too,
Yeah.
who's not communicating, who's supposed to be teaching the younger, and it's not because they're not doing it. So therefore, if the older is not teaching the younger, then how do we do that? How do we allow that to happen?
So,
Have more sessions like this.
yeah, we definitely need to
And
bring
get a
in
young crowd so
more
we can-
people, diverse age groups, yeah.
Things like this going on, so we could just get it flowing out there.
Yeah,
That's the best way you can do it.
And it's not always the. I mean, I was sitting down and I was talking to this young person,
mhm,
and they have some more knowledge better than an older person. And it's really it is about where they're at mentally.
mhm.
If they're mentally maturity, but if they just okay, just still trying to hang and trying to be that man, then they're never going to establish nothing because it's their way of the highway and it's all about them. But then you'll meet a young brother who is established and want a relationship, but you figure, oh, you too young to know what you want. But what you say about that old cat who still don't know what they want, but
Yeah.
in your life, and you made life altering changes, and you got to start your life back over.
Well, see, one of the things too that we as a whole, I mean, it doesn't matter which age group we in, we have to stop putting an age on maturity, because young people can be just as mature, if not more mature, than the people that's older. So we have to stop putting the age on maturity. You know what I'm saying? Once we realize that your background, that's what's important. You know what I'm saying? Where you came from dictates the type of person that you molded yourself to be. You know what I'm saying? Where my wife came from dictates the type of person that she was molded to be. So when we look at that and we understand a person's background and where they came from, that also gives us insight as the type of person that we're dealing with, whether this person has dealt with things that made them mature early, or whether this other person has dealt with things that made them mature way later, or some people just don't mature at all.
Yeah.
So when we stop putting a label on it, we better off.
Yeah, I know young men who had to be a father to their siblings in middle school, and they begin to mature in high school. And we have the older men who not even taking care of their kids.
Exactly.
That is true. That is so true. You have a bunch of guys who are not taking care of their children, and it's not even about the age. It's just about having that sense of responsibility. You know, some people have that sense of responsibility, then you have others that don't have a sense of responsibility. And why is that? A lot of times it's because it wasn't taught. And then another time is because sometimes they were being taught these things, but they're so into themselves or into their own thing that they're not paying attention to what's being taught to them. And then when life teaches them a lesson, then now, you know, they feel like the whole world is putting the weight on their shoulders. And why should you feel that way? You're not only not being fair to yourself, but you're also being unfair to your offsprings, because you brought these children out here into this world. And as a responsible man, you have to have some sense or some form of maturity that's going to put you in a position to where you yourself can have a family and understand what it means to have a family and be responsible enough to take care, provide, and protect that family along with your counterpart. Not just you. You don't do everything, and don't get that in your head that you do everything. You don't do everything. You do some part. You do your part, and your counterpart does her part. So we have to stop doing this oneness thing, because that's ego, and the ego will destroy you faster than you can even have a relationship in the first place with anybody, friends, companion, a work relationship. That ego will destroy you. We have to let all these things go. You have to,
If I can add on to that, Yellow,
Please.
Yellow,
please.
the uniqueness of this is time. It takes time for everything.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's why I'm such a Time Lord geek here. I'm a Doctor Who guy. but the uniqueness of time is that you have to take time to do all these things. You know, just like you take time to get up in the morning and get dressed and go to work. You have to take time to say hello. How you doing? How's everything? Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
All that takes time. With relationships, whether it's your significant or with family, I still reach out to family in a way to where I don't need to know everything. I just want to know that you're doing all right.
That's it. That's it.
Hello, how you doing? It's like the old saying, duck your head. You know how you walk in, duck your head in the door.
Yeah.
Just saying, hey,
Yeah.
you good? All right, I'm out of here. Time is of the essence, as they say, and that's the uniqueness of this.
Yeah. I feel you on that. I feel you on that, Sam. Definitely. What's up, Mom? We can hear you moving back there.
I can hear you now. I couldn't hear you before because I didn't know what I was doing.
Everybody, this is my mom. This Miss Estes, Miss BB Estes.
How's everybody doing?
Good, Miss Davis.
How are you?
I was trying to get in so I could hurry up and hook it up. And I was looking at the clock. I said, it's almost 3:00. And my husband, Lord knows, he got to stop everywhere. He got to do this and do. Come, man, when you come on. I'm listening.
Oh my goodness. Tell Joe stop doing all that stuff. You know we got a conversation to hold up here.
Yeah, and today your sister's birthday. She don't feel good,
Yeah.
so
So no party today, huh?
she don't feel good. The baby don't feel good.
Oh wow.
Comrade back in the hospital, and
Oh my goodness. And that
it's been a day, but God's will, I'm still here.
hey, you gotta make it do what it do. So
Gotta do
Mom,
it.
tell us some of the things that help your relationship last as long as it did, because you and Joe been together since dirt. Y'all been together for a long time.
Shut your ass up, boy.
How you gonna talk smack? You ain't even showing the video.
You wrong for that.
I'm a pussy.
It got to be love. It got to be love.
It's got
Cause
to be love.
it got to be love. You know, I went and I prayed and I asked God why I can't leave this man. I don't know for the likes of me why I can't leave this man. I done had different boyfriends and done left them and thought nothing of it.
Some keeping you out there.
Bye, guys. Bye.
You better stay out of this 2 pairs.
Shut up, Grandma.
Okay. All right. Ooh, I can't wait to get my hands on you.
Yes, let's get it beat down.
Them fighting words where I grew up on that, you couldn't say that.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's
Crazy.
right.
Just hearing that.
Say grandma like
And you still know you got one coming, right?
Exactly.
Look at my face. Look at my face. Take a good look at my face, because that's the only thing you're gonna be remembering from now on. You know, I kind of, when I met my husband, I wasn't in love with him. I lusted him. I wasn't in love with him. I liked him a lot. And as the years went on, we started adopting children, because Lord knows I wasn't finna have no more babies. Hell no. And one day me and Conrad was sitting in the hospital waiting on him to have, because he was on dialysis at the time,
Mhm.
and waiting on him to have just that simple procedure, put the little graft in his arm.
Mhm.
And me and Conrad went down to get us something to eat. And I heard cold blue, cold blue. Conrad looked at me and I looked at him. I said, "That's your daddy." He said, "Mama." And I ain't say nothing else after that. We got finished and we went on our way up to his room. And the doctor was meeting me up there. And he said, "I don't know what happened." He said, "We went to do the procedure. When they gave him the anesthesia, it's hard to stop. They discovered he can't take anesthesia." So something just like a little voice came to me. And I was like, man, I really didn't realize I do love this man. And it hurt me so bad. But I felt like God was protecting him anyway, and he wasn't going to let him go nowhere. I said, "God, you just gave him to me. I know you're not going to take him from me now." Got back up there, they had put him on some medicine that made him sleep, and he couldn't do anything. Boy, I was changing diapers and washing butt and thought I had another baby all over again. But at that moment, I really realized how much I love that man. And I've been with that little baboon ass, oh, excuse my language, 36 years this year.
Okay.
36 years. I ain't nothing with no man that damn long. What it is, what the problem?
Hey, that don't sound like a problem. That sounds like you finally found a solution.
I probably did. Oh, damn, now you know what? I ain't even got to figure that one out no more. Thank you, sir. Thank you. But seriously, if something goes on in your life and you don't realize it until the last minute, when you hear that little voice speaking to you, listen to it, because it's giving you an answer to something that you really wanted to know anyway.
Yeah.
And I just really wanted to know the answer. I said, "Oh, that's what it is. I do love that nigga, huh?"
Mhm. So, fellas, tell me something. What was the breaking point in your life where you decided, like, hey, when I get with this woman, the one that you with now, I'm gonna do things differently? What made you get to that point?
That's a good question.
Come on, gentlemen, let's speak up. Come on, Sam. Come on, Rodney.
It took
Okay.
it took a lot of events.
The heartbreak of being cheated on by my first wife. So, and I said the next woman is not going to do that to me. I'm going to choose right, and I did. So, and because I deserved better, and I wasn't going to compromise my lifestyle choices for another cheating woman. So,
I know that's right.
That's a blessing.
yes.
Come on,
Yeah, I
Sam.
can
What you got?
actually. Yeah, I'm echoing what Rodney just mentioned, because I'm actually married for the second time myself, and learning the lessons from the first relationship, and not incorporating or repeating the same in your current was the biggest lesson for me. And man, ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, we don't live in a perfect world. Even though we've always been taught that we should be as perfect as possible, but there's no such thing as perfection. I would be the first to tell you, I've done a lot of things I would have to regret and had to pay for it down the line.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I still believe in I still have a faith that I believe in, to where there are things that are forgiven, but yet I'm not the one to be the judge of that. That time will come when it comes.
Yeah.
The uniqueness of life is to live it, but also to learn from it at the same time.
Yes.
And I came up from many influences, both sets of grandparents, my parents who were divorced during my entire upbringing, and also I grew up around a lot of different influential people, from aunts and uncles who were like my siblings because we were so close in age,
Mm-hmm.
to individuals who were like mentors just growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I still went out there and made some of the same mistakes. I still went out there and did some of the same crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't be a human being if you didn't go through that to learn from your mistakes.
That's
Yes,
it.
indeed. You got to learn from your mistakes. So,
And
I'll say my part. For me, my turning point was in relations to yours and Rodney, Sam. The whole being in a relationship in the past. I would say for me, I started at the age of 21, where I said that from this point on, any relationship that I got into was going to be a monogamous relationship. And it was tough because I felt like some of the things that I did in my past, I was actually paying for in those previous relationships. And then I had to actually take a break. I literally not dated anybody, no nothing, did nothing for 2 years straight, and just took that time out to myself. And when I took that time out to myself, it was one of the best things that I could have possibly did in my entire life. It was one of the best decisions that I had ever made, because that gave me time to get to know who I am. And even at that time, being as young as I was, I finally realized that, man, it was a lot of things about myself that I didn't know. I didn't even realize there were certain things that I would do that would probably cause a problem in a relationship. But when I finally came to that realization, I say, okay, here's what I'm going to do differently. And I kind of like mentally created a resume in my head for all of my likes and dislikes from my previous relationships, and all of my likes and dislikes that I realized about myself. I kind of put all those things together. Once I put those things together, moving forward, I was finally able to understand, like, man, now I know what I want. And I started looking into relationships, and then I started learning about building relationships, and not just relationships with couples, but also relationships between male and female, because male and female, we kind of like speak a different language, but that's another topic. But once I started learning more about that, then it really opened my eyes up to understanding what I really wanted out of a relationship. So I started learning about soulmates. This one right here is my soulmate. So I started learning about soulmates, life partners, twin flames. Like, I started learning about these things. When I did that, fellas, I'm gonna tell you something. That, along with learning how women use silent communication, that opened my eyes up to a whole nother world. My life has been totally different now since I learned those things back then. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, for my ladies here, all of you all,
Yes.
what would be your counter to help us be better men to the things that we just answered? What would be your counter?
Well, see, if I'm speaking from a personal perspective,
Yeah.
you know how I hate to repeat myself. Don't make your woman have to repeat to you the same thing over and over again. Don't do that. Because that, if she got to tell you that more than twice the same thing, and it gets to that third one, that implies that you ignoring her. Or either you just not trying to hear what she got to say.
Yeah.
So that's y'all silent communication right there. Y'all turn that deaf ear on, act like, oh, jeez, oh, what? I ain't hear you. Yeah, you heard. If I got to say it 3, yo, you heard. So don't make her do that. That make us want to wring y'all neck when y'all do that. Secondly, don't tell her, or should I say, don't give a specific time that you are gonna do something, and then she's sitting there waiting on y'all to waiting on you to get yourself ready and get your, or you finish going on playing ball with your guy friends over there. Then she gotta wait for you to come back home. You gotta get in the shower with your soda. When you do, you the one. So why would you
Work the nerve. Work
oh
the
my
time.
heart. Yeah, don't do that.
Work
That's
the
just
nerve.
plain old wrong.
Guilty.
Wrong.
Guilty.
I get
I'm
on
sorry.
that all the time. How is it that I have to wait for him to get ready? How is that? Like really? But yeah, basically have some common courtesy, have some consideration. You know, you will be good. That's all you want to do. That's all women really looking for. Common courtesy, consideration. That's it.
Bottom line.
That's it.
Bottom line.
Y'all say women are complicated, but really, we're not. We look, basic things make us happy. Basic
Exactly.
things
Clean
make
in
us
the
happy.
bathrooms, make them happy.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Or when you in the grocery store and you see a bouquet of flowers and you just pick them up, and she see them in the cart and she's looking at it like, oh, he gonna make me flower. She ain't gonna say it, but in her mind, she the happiest. She smiled all over in the mind because she's like, oh, he gonna put some flowers in there for me.
I
Like,
do that.
You know, actually,
I do that all the time.
I don't do the flower thing. I remember the first time I ever brought my wife flowers. She said, "What the hell you bring me these for? They're gonna be dead in 3 days. You done wasted $30-something."
You know,
You know,
on that level, I could get with your wife because for a minute when he would do it, I was, because I'm a flower person. I love flowers. But after a while, I would tell him, you know what, stop wasting, they're gonna die. So just stop wasting money. Don't get the flowers. If you're gonna give me a plant that I can constantly see grow, you know, something that's gonna actually
we
last.
have we have roses in the yard, so that way
Yeah, there you go. See,
they're always coming back. So
yeah, and that equates to the giving of the flowers. And every time she look at them roses, she gonna know this is when he bought me these flowers. Yep, that right there, I can look at this all the time. Like that ain't going nowhere. So
I mean,
it's just little things. It's the little things that women look for. Y'all think a woman want all these expensive dinners and she got to get her hair today. Now only a selfish woman gonna say, yeah, I got to get my hair and my nails done, and I need me. Now see, that's a materialistic individual. A real woman, she just want, like you said, a back rub, foot massage. Maybe run a bubble bath, maybe cook her dinner, have some dinner ready for her. Like
clean her bathroom.
You know,
you clean that bathroom for her once a week. Ooh, she's happy as hell.
Exactly. So
I already got every Sunday it's bubble bath time for her. So you know, I scrub that bathtub shower out like crazy, and the sink and the toilet and everything, get it all perfectly shiny, clean, get the candles ready and the bath bombs ready. So when she gets home, she could just lay, relax, and chill and drink her beer.
See, I do the cleaning throughout the week. I do some cleaning throughout the week, but most of the time for her, she get like the full body massages or the massages wherever she's in pain and things of that nature. Most of the time she get that. But then I feel blessed because one of my cousins is a professional masseuse, and as he was going to school, I was learning from him. So I didn't have to go to school for it because he did it for me.
Wow.
That's a mature woman is gonna appreciate the basic, simple things as opposed to the extravagant, expensive thing. Because let's face it, anybody could go out and buy an expensive anything. But when you actually giving her small tokens and this, that means you actually put some thought into it.
Hell yeah.
You know, that's really coming from you. You're not just giving it to her just to appease her. It's actually coming from you. So she's gonna appreciate that a lot more.
Yeah. What's your counter, Pat? Come on, Pat.
Mine is, and I'm just talking personal, and most women are like this, is hear me. When I'm telling you what's wrong, don't assume I'm talking about something. Listen to what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, I'm trying to communicate to you what's wrong with me. Listen to me. And another one that was one of the destructive things that helped destroy our marriage is the fact that I said, I want you.
Mm.
And never give me them.
Yep.
I'm a self-made woman. I can buy me whatever I want. And I am that type of woman. I like my nails done. I like my hair done, but I needed you. And if I'm not getting you, then I could have just stayed by myself.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. That's
So
true.
those is what I want from you is what I can't do for myself. And if I just want you and I'm telling you I want you and you refuse to give me you, and then when you then you realize you never even had that person.
Yeah.
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 They made you think that you had them, but you don't realize you never had them until now you're living up under one roof, and then time begins to pass and you're saying the same thing and you're repeating the same thing. And never make a woman beg or feel like they have to jump through hoops to feel like this is what they're trying to compromise with when it was just a setup from the beginning. And see, I'm coming from a whole different perspective. Like I'm coming from an unhealthy relationship. These women are coming from healthy relationships because I like the balance that we're getting both. I can say the same thing, but it's so much.
Yes. Yes.
Huh?
We get both sides of the
Yes.
coin. Compare and contrast, and that's very important. That way you have an overall understanding of both sides.
Yeah.
And what damage can actually happen if those simple things are not communicated or done.
Feeling is to realize when you get married for the right reasons, and then you realize that person is never going to give you them, and that you're in a marriage by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been in that. Don't, girl, if you need to do that, you do that. I have been in that situation that you're talking about before him. I have been in that situation. And this person was like my first love, my 14 years old, my first father to my children. So in my mind, I'm thinking I have to deal with this bad because I have children with this bad. I want my kids to grow up mother, father, so you accepting what you normally wouldn't accept if the children were not in the equation, but you're accepting it because you trying your hardest to make this work. You're trying. And as the years went through, I started to become resentful because I looked at him like, okay, you're making me go against my true self. Because my true self would not have allowed this at all. But you having me, I'm going against my true self because of my children, because I want to make this work. And you're not putting in any type of effort to help out in this. So it's like,
home.
Yeah, exactly. So as much as you try to prevent it, you try and you try and you try. But it's like, if you're not getting that same in return, it builds up resentment, and then that resentment turns into anger. And it was a lot. It was a lot of anger, particularly on my part, because I get angry like really quick, and it's like after a while, I don't care what comes out of my mouth. I don't care what I say to you. I don't care how it comes out, and I will tell you in your face if I said it. That means I meant it. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to do any of that. Why? Because this is the mental state that you have driven me to. This is where you put me. And it's like, after a while you think, okay, this is toxic. I gotta go.
And I had to learn, even in this, we say compromise. But I had to learn, because I've been married more than once. And I never want no one to know who I am talking about.
Right.
learned that I used to compromise so much, I was no longer compromising. I was throwing away my identity. So
Exactly. Losing yourself. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a mark where there's compromising and you're losing yourself. Those are two different things.
Exactly.
And I never want
Exactly.
men to feel like they're compromising. Compromising is not losing who you are to make that person feel good about themselves or to give that person what they need. Because anytime, oh, thank you, Jesus. Anytime that you end up with a broken person and you whole, they will sift you like wheat, pull this life out of you, and
Yeah.
you trying to have women are nurturers.
Yes.
And if we're nurture the situation, and before we look at it, we have been sucked dry and we're left there for dead.
And
Yeah.
see, that's my zodiac. So I'm a nurturer by nature. I'm a born nurturer. And when it was, turned out that person had a mental illness, bipolar, but you don't want to help yourself. So you think I'm supposed to keep going through the up and down, but you're not willing to help. You know what you need to do to help not just yourself, but us as a whole. But you don't want to do that because you feel like that don't make you look like a man. Like what?
I'm gonna tell you,
A
you
lot
have
of
to be
people have
careful.
problems with that, with the depression and all, especially military men, because
And he was a military man. But the thing is, if you see where it's causing harm, not only in your relationship, but as in your family as a whole, and dynamically, why would you not take that tiny pill that they're telling you? Oh, this is all you have to do.
But it takes a man a whole lot longer to get over that.
Woman.
I'm not less than a person, because I let my PTSD and my mental illness mess with me for many, many, many years that I never got help. And it wasn't until my wife finally said, you know what, you need help. We got to get you help. We have to start getting you help. And I didn't really take it seriously till then. And I started doing group chats with other veterans and stuff. It's not weak to speak up. It's actually brave.
Exactly.
Because it takes a lot of heart to let yourself out there, to let other people know what you went through, how you've been through, and I couldn't tell my wife a lot of things that happened to me because I didn't want her to look at me like I was less than a man. And a lot of
that was an assumption. You
exactly
don't know if you don't say, that's an assumption.
Same thing we mentioned.
Yeah. And so, but until I learned through therapy, I didn't know that it was okay to talk and discuss that with your wife. I hate it, because like a disease, like alcoholism or anything else, a disease, you don't want it to detract from your relationship and bring you down and make you feel lesser of a person.
Yeah.
And your significant spouse's eyes, especially when that person is your everything. You don't want to disappoint them.
I tried to be as supportive as I could. I even actually got him admitted into.
That's good. That's good.
But he didn't say. He refused to help. And I'm just like, you cannot be serious right now. What?
Because
there's a lot.
You know what? I'm sorry. Because in his mind, it was nothing really wrong with him.
Yeah, he was definitely in denial.
He could not see the problem. He could not see it. He couldn't see it.
Yeah.
My husband like that.
It takes to hit rock bottom to finally see it. And it might come to that one day where he tries to commit suicide, and then he'll come back and say, "Thank you."
He did do that. He did do that. He did. And you know what? When the police came to take him, the police officer who was there, he even told him, he was like, I have bipolar. This man went in his pocket, pulled out the pill that he take for his bipolar. He told him, I don't feel like I'm less than a man. He was like, this allows me to do my job. This allows me to be around my family. This little pill right here is what helps me get through the day without having the ups and downs. So many people had tried to help him in so many aspects, but he just refused the help. And it's like the more he went through the manic and then the depression and then the manic, then the it was like a freaking roller coaster ride. I can't keep doing this. I'm getting off this ride because you're not even attempting to help. I've seen
Yeah.
it empty. You're not even you.
And it
You can't.
drives you up the wall. It
Yes,
drives you
yes, and
up
that's
the
when I
wall.
said the
You
resentment
want to
turned
say,
into
look,
anger, and
this is the way it's gonna be.
I just couldn't do it no more. And I was never one to turn my back on anybody that needed help. But at a certain point in time, I got to make sure that I'm okay because I have babies that I have to make sure that they're okay. So, you're a grown man. I can't coddle you. I'm not your mom. There's only so much I can do. And if you keep pushing my hand away, okay, then I'm gonna throw my hands up and say deuces to you because I'm not gonna keep doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, let me ask you
That's true.
something. Because we're on the topic about communication.
Wait, hold up. Let me say this.
Okay.
My son know that my husband took me there with the same place you was talking about, Stephanie. I used to call my son and I used to cry on the phone to my son about different situations just like that. And he would say, Ma, I understand what you're saying. That comforted me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It made me feel more of me than trying to be somebody else.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
It's just lucky that I have a strong mental mind, or I probably would have been in the room next to him at the cycle, in the cycle, because that's something I dealt with exactly.
The unique part about myself was I was diagnosed with anxiety depression back in December of 2003. And when I met my current wife, she knew that from the jump, because she met me in pretty much during my darkest hour of dealing with that. And I can tell you right now, and maybe that was just a godsend for things to happen like it did when we started dating each other. But in a lot of ways, it saved me, because I was coming off of a very toxic situation prior to her, and to deal with a toxic relationship plus depression, it's not a good concoction to deal with. I mean,
I've seen it. I haven't experienced, but my sister has. But you just
the tolerance of dealing with somebody with those kind of problems is tricky because it's different for everybody. I used to transport people. I used to be a Medicare driver here in Chicago. Did it for a good 25, 26 years up until the pandemic happened. And I've transported them as young as 6 and as young as 106, and with every health ailment known to man, from the mental to the physical to you name it. And I tell you something, if there was one thing I learned about health, it was through that job. It taught me how to take care of my own self health-wise if nobody else will. And I still see a psychologist to this day. For me, the talk therapy has actually worked. Tried meds a long time ago. It turned me into a zombie. I'm like, taking pills twice. I can't live like that. It's not for everybody. But at the same time, going back to the communication factor of all this is, you got another person to worry about here. You worry about the reaction. You worried about what they're gonna think of you. You worry if they're gonna still be with you. Miss Beverly, I'm sure you can relate to this. This is something I grew up hearing from my own mother. My own mother, even though she has 2 sons, she always told everybody she raised 2 men. She didn't raise 2 boys. And the uniqueness of that, sometimes they may sound great, but there's some imperfections that comes along with that. And that's where you have all the other unique influences that you have to contend with growing up. My daughter, I have one daughter, she's 27, living in Milwaukee now, and with her partner and everything. But when she was growing up, the one thing I've always learned raising her, and this was just through my experience, is that she's going to see things and hear things when she walk out that door every day that I may not necessarily agree to or abide to, but she knows when she walk in the house, she knows what's expected of her as long as she's under our roof. And that was kind of how I was brought up. Whether I was living with my parents or living with my grandparents, there was an expectation that you still had to adhere. And sometimes you lose yourself trying to adhere to all those different rules and regulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's
Been
true.
there, done that. Been there, done that.
And
Saying.
yeah. Funny thing, Miss Beverly, growing up with your son and Wendell Phillips was quite unique because we used to speak to each other. We used to kind of pass by, yo, what's up, and then we was just running from one end of the building to the next building because our classes was so spread apart in that mile-long school that we call Wendell Phillips. And what's funny about friendship, going back to the friendship part of it, yeah, you gotta watch who you call your friends out here.
Yeah.
I myself have been in sync with a lot of friends from high school. They're all different. They're all going through something. They're all trying to do their own thing. Sometimes I have to back up from my own best friends because of some of the things they're doing, because it's not me. It's not fit for me and my wife. It's not necessarily something that you want to dive into and say it's okay. Some things are just not okay like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
You have to do what's conducive to the lifestyle that you're living now. And being in a relationship with someone, it's not just your lifestyle anymore. This is our lifestyle now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right.
It's not just it's not just the person who I'm in the relationship with, it's whoever she brought along with her, meaning her children, the grandbabies, and then whoever I brought along with me, my children, and those grandbabies. You know what I'm saying? So this a whole posse we gotta look out for. You know what I'm saying? We gotta look out for everybody, and especially as a man, we're so quick to say, "Hey, fellas, won't you come over to the crib and hang out with me for a little bit?" But did you, before you said that, "Hey, fellas, let's hang out for a little bit," did you think about, okay, does she feel like being bothered? How they gonna look at them grandchildren? How are they gonna look at your children? You know what I'm saying? Because you got some sick-minded individuals out here, and you gotta watch out for everybody. I don't give a damn how long you've been knowing them. You gotta watch out.
And it's tripped out because sometimes it could be your own. You could be your own family.
Yeah.
That you have to consider that in that box too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole lifestyle now. It's not just something that you know about now. This is a whole lifestyle. You don't just know about it now, you live in it. You walking the walk and talking the talk now. You gotta actually put yourself out there and say, man, yeah, I want me and my fellas to hang out, but now let's go hang out somewhere on the outside. We not hanging out in my crib. We gonna go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
It's kind of a good idea for that, for me, and because I got kind of like OCD, and I don't like stuff out of place. I don't like mess, so I get like irritated.
Tell me about it.
It makes me like cringe, and then I give you the stank eye because I'm like, okay, you ain't using no cup hold. Like, look, you finna put a ring on my no. And so I tell him like, would you like not do that? Like, you know, y'all can go out, you know, go to a restaurant, like have lunch or dinner, you know, or if you're gonna do it, let me know in advance so I'll be prepared, not just mentally, but you know, make sure I got the cup holders in place so everybody, everything. It's like, give me a heads up. I'm not. I don't like the surprise pop up. I don't like that. Because then when I open the door, I'm just gonna look at you like, what you doing here?
Right,
I'm
right.
not gonna say,
One thing about that, it goes back to partnerships. I consider myself and my wife partners in this game, not just husband and wife, but partners, where everything is 50-50. Everything is to where we have our freedoms, because there's no such thing as anybody owning anybody.
exactly.
Exactly.
It kind of goes back to that old school mentality, to where there was a time where, you know, you own everything and there was no questions asked. We kind of do everything, you know, right, pretty much down the middle. You know, if she want to go out and hang out, same way with me, you know, we let each other know. Okay, I'm going with so and so. I'm hanging out here. I'm taking this party out. You know, don't look for me. Okay, you know, communication.
Yep.
Real simple.
I ain't finna do all that no more. You're not going out. I'll be back when I get ready to.
I see, I've always been like that. I don't feel like I'm not asking nobody permission if I could go do anything. I've never did that, other than when I was a minor and I had to have permission from the acting adult in my life. But once I became of age, I'm not asking you nothing. I'll give you a courtesy and let you know what time I'll be back. But I'm not gonna ask you anything. I'm not gonna do that. That's a no.
Have my dinner ready and have my paycheck cash when I come back. Because I'm going back out.
Let's see.
Hey, Sam, you brought up an interesting thing, because one of the things that you said when you mentioned 50-50, it's also one of the things that I do when I'm doing my mentoring with some of the young people, because they don't understand when some of the more mature people say 50-50. They look at it in one way, but then even some of the mature people don't really understand this either. But I'm gonna break it down for you.
Yeah.
So for me, when I say 50-50, we're 50-50. But to add to that 50-50, what I'm also looking at is whatever she brings to the table, you know what I'm saying? If she's more dominant in a situation than I am, then guess who's taking the lead at that point? Exactly. She gonna take the lead at that point. I'm gonna sit back and I'm just gonna have her back. As simple as that. I'm gonna have her back. But a lot of guys tend to think that if she takes the lead, then now I look bad. That's not true.
Or you trying, or the female
or she's trying to outdo you.
In a like what?
I'm gonna tell you something. It's
That's
the
not
last
true.
thing.
That's not how that works.
Right. It's the last thing I want to do, because if she's better at something if she's better at doing something than I am, believe me, I'm gonna take her advice on it. My wife actually taught me how to be the grill master that she turned out to be.
Yeah.
That's compliment.
She's taught me some things about different things, you know, handling the house that I didn't know growing up, which is weird in its own right. But guess what? She grew up in a house to where her father used to have her out there in the garage with him.
Yeah.
Nailing something.
Oh, I know. I was right there. I was right there. I lived across the street.
She'd be the first to tell you that she grew up right there on 35th and Wells.
Yep.
And she was doing more than just being a little girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's what he asked me. He was like, when he noticed that I smashed a bug with my hand, no problem, pick it up. He's like, oh, you not a girl, please. I've been killing bugs since forever. I ain't afraid to get in the mud. I ain't afraid to get under a car, get grease on me. I ain't afraid to do none of that. And he was like, oh, okay. Because I looked like a girly girl, he thought I was a girly girl. until he see that is so not the case. So
And guess what? And guess what? I embrace the fact that she know a lot of stuff that I don't know.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I do too. I do too, because I kid you not,
I
growing
embrace it
I
because
was
there's
taught
just
one
some
way to
things
be a
'cause we-
man.
right.
But then her uncles were taught something different, and she was seeing the things that I would do, and she would mention the things that her uncles did, and I learned from that. You know, I'm not afraid to say I learned from that.
Yep.
My great uncles, they were the father figures in my life because my father was just not around. But they were the front and center of the male role model in my life. So I would look at, he reminds me like what he does. It reminds me a lot of my grandfather as far as being responsible and, me. I don't even really have to say it. He'll already be getting ready to do it, if not have done it. And it's like a weight, like obviously, like you ain't gotta constantly keep say, hey, did you remember to do da 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 da? Oh, hey, don't you remember I asked you to do da da da? I don't never have to say that, and it's like I don't have to worry about him messing up bill money or throwing it away on something stupid, or I don't have that worry, and that in itself is like pretty liberating for me, at least. And because I had to stop working due to medical condition, but when I had to do that, that was hard for me. I've always been an independent, very sometimes too independent person. So it took me a minute to get used to that. Having to rely, and I even hate saying that word now, rely on another person to help me with certain things. And it's like, he would tell me why. If we're together, we're together. We're partners. Like, what you can't do, I'm supposed to do, and vice versa. And it took that a while to get into my head. And then finally, I just went on ahead, threw my hands up and said, okay, I can't win. This is the person that won't argue with me. We have literally never had not one argument, ever.
Didn't I tell y'all that?
Ever. And
Didn't
it's
I tell
so
y'all
frustrating. It is so, I mean, I know that might sound kind of strange, but we have literally, I mean, not even a baby argument, like not a baby. And I remember telling him a long time ago, I'm gonna get you to argue with me. One of these days, I'm gonna find something just for you to argue with me, just so I can get my argument. He was like, he was like, okay, good luck with that. I'm never gonna argue with you. And he literally, to this day, has not argued with me. If he see why I'm getting fussy about something, he just look at me like, okay.
You know what? He told me him and his sisters and brothers have said, we have never heard you and Daddy argue. I say, and you won't.
Okay, so that's where he got that from? Because he chose will not argue. I mean, I have tried. I don't try to be petty, messy, all that. But it won't happen. It will not. It's like, okay, something must be wrong with me then for me to keep on trying to get this man arguing.
What'd you say, Pat? What'd you say?
Argue by yourself. The one way to kill an argument is don't indulge.
That is so true. That is so true, because I literally feel like that's what I'm doing.
You can't kill a woman arguing, so it ain't no need trying.
And he won't do it. Even if I'm just fussing up a storm, he'll just look at me and be like, you done? You okay? Okay, I'll wait. And then he'll go back and start doing everything. And then that don't do nothing make me more mad, because I'm like, it's not giving me no reaction. I'm trying so hard. I'm gonna get it. Nope, still ain't never happened. Still never happened.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
You're so not fun.
I have enjoyed it. I know my mother keeps calling, and I'm not for sure what's going on, but I didn't just want to just jump off here right quick. But I know for her to keep calling me, and she know I'm doing something, then there's something that needs my attention.
Definitely. Hey,
Love you, Miss Pat.
thank you so much for joining us.
I see y'all Tuesday.
Tuesday,
All right.
peace and blessings.
Nice meeting you.
I see you Wednesday.
Give your wife my phone number.
Yeah.
Okay, I got some new topics too. So be ready. Be ready.
Oh, you know I stay ready. Come on.
All
I can't
right.
wait to get to listen to the rest of it.
Awesome. Got you. Got you. Peace and blessings.
Bye-bye.
She is that one good lady there, I tell you.
Yeah, she cool. She cool in the mug, bro. Real
I
talk.
I remember when she handed that boss that took over for our girl is behind because he tried to make me work with a messed up leg.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that too. I
She
definitely
said,
remember
she
that.
said, "But home because you need to go to the hospital." She
Yeah.
said, "I will take care of this."
And she did too. She put him in his place so hard.
Because I told her, I said, if he comes back, I'm not coming back. This dude he was so ignorant, and I'm sorry, but when you call him, tell him that you're injured, and then he doesn't even call you back, and then he calls you a liar because he said, "Oh, you didn't call me." Is excuse me? Oh, that's when I showed Miss Pat my phone. She's like, "Now let me see your phone." Oh, I must have missed it.
Yeah, you missed it, all right.
She's like, "No," because I drove that morning route with my leg messed up. Basically, it was a grade 4 sprain, so it would have been even better if it was fractured or cracked or broken, because I couldn't even walk on the dang thing. I had to ride a scooter.
I remember that too. I remember that.
I was like,
Hey,
man,
so let me ask you gentlemen something. What does silent communication mean to you guys?
to me, there's something wrong. I mean, when both of us are silent, it's usually because something's wrong and we're not discussing it. Maybe one of us is mad and doesn't want to talk right at the beginning, right now,
Mhm.
We always give each other time to calm down, because you also need time to calm down, because you don't want to blow up at your significant other.
Exactly.
So silence is golden too, because that means you both know that there's something wrong, something needs to be talked about and taken care of, but you respect each other to give each other that time to cool down and reflect
Mhm.
before saying something to make it worse.
Got you.
I totally agree with that because that's something I deal with even now. On a regular with the type of jobs that we both work, and she may come home, like I say, she could be mad about something that may got nothing to do with you.
Mhm.
Sometimes I let her just digress. She'll tell me later. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna try to make matters any worse than it is, or add on to it. But sometimes you got to be the listener. Sometimes you got to be the listener. Sometimes you got to be the talker.
Yeah.
It's a back and forth tug of war that we deal with,
Mhm.
and I'm good with that. At least there is communication.
Exactly. So let me say this. For me, when it comes to silent communication, over the years, as I was telling you all, there are some things that I learned about silent communication. And I learned that from the women as well as the research that I did. So understanding that a lot of times when a woman is silent, sometimes she's using her body or her facial expressions or music. She's using something to make you identify and understand what it is that she's doing, that she's going through, or what it is that she's trying to get you to understand. It took me a long time. I didn't know that either. But once I finally started to learn those things, then it made me pay more attention to the woman that I'm dealing with. I tell you, sometimes you would think that a woman is angry when she's not saying anything, but it's not that she's angry. Sometimes she's thinking about something. Sometimes she's trying to process something that she probably was dealing with before she even got with you or before it had anything to do with you. Sometimes she's just having some me time, like right in front of you, and she just being quiet. So the thing is, knowing your counterpart, it helps you to have a better understanding and to have a closer relationship with her when you do understand that there's more things about silent communication than what we regularly understand.
Because it's like sometimes he'll be talking and I haven't heard none of you said because my mind has went in a whole nother realm or whatever. And when I come back, he like, did you hear nothing I just said? Did you? I'll be like, huh? And he'd be like, oh my goodness. He was like, you didn't hear anything I said? I was like, I'm sorry. I mean, my body might have been here, but my mind was someplace
She was doing that R. Kelly. My mind's telling me no.
Oh my goodness. No.
Body.
No.
My body.
It's like because I'm a focused person. So if I'm focusing on something, it's like I'll tune everything out around me.
Especially when she reading. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's usually when it happens.
Yeah, she's
take myself into my mind into that book where I don't hear anything going on around me. Nothing.
Yeah.
And see, I'm like that when it comes to my poetry, because when I'm doing my poetry, I'm so focused on that poem that I'm doing or the multiple poems that I'm doing. Even when I was writing my book, it's like I'm started on a new book now that I'm writing. Somebody could be talking to me and I literally hear nothing coming into my ears. Only thing that I hear is those scenarios that I'm playing in my head for what I'm writing. That's the only thing I hear.
That's me when I'm drawing, or if I'm sitting here playing around with the music, or I'm working on a couple of projects.
Yeah.
She knows. Tasha's known that with me regarding when I work on my family tree. That's something I've been working on the last 12 years.
Yeah.
And if she's locked on that computer, she's like, uh-oh, let me let you go. You know, she's like, I'll catch you later. You know, and I'll be like, wait, what's wrong? You know, we've gotten very used to each other with that, because, like I say, that's just knowing your partner. That's just knowing the vibe, knowing the situation in hand.
Yeah.
After a while, it's not a habit. It's just the way things go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because you're not looking at it as it's a burden in the relationship. You're looking at it as, okay, let me give you your space because this is that moment that you're having right now. So let me let you have that moment, and then we'll come back together later. You know what I'm saying? So,
but the worst thing you don't want to do, and I'm guilty of this, is she can be telling me some things, or saying some things to me, and she think I'm listening, I'm not listening. I fool around and say I heard everything, and then I find myself going back, and it's nothing inadvertent or you know, it's not by accident. Sometimes it's good like that, you know.
But it's messy though. It's messy, Sam. It's messy.
It can.
And I know that he didn't hear nothing half of what I said. And I go, okay, then what did I say? And then he'll just give me this look like, he said, and he give me maybe a word that he might have caught from everything that I had. I'd be like, really? That's all I said? Is that one word? That's it? That's all you heard? But you was listening though, right? You was listening. Okay.
She's so wrong for that. She's telling me.
I mean, I think that's every guy thing, tell you the truth, because, you know, my wife be talking, I'm like, huh? And she's like, huh, nothing. Aren't you listening to me? Like, yeah, I'm listening, but I didn't hear what you said.
And you know, growing up in the 70s and 80s, watching the old game shows, especially the infamous dating game,
Oh my goodness.
and they would go through some of those bizarre questions like that, and you wonder why they almost ready to knock each other's head off with a pillow or something with the response. Now I get it. I'm 40 years late though, but I get it now.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That is so crazy. Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
let me ask this question. So how long did it take you to finally get to the point where you could sit down and both of you have one of the deepest conversations you ever had before? Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, my first night after, we went out, and the first night I took her back to my dorm room because I lived on base. We had a deep conversation. I mean, we talked all night long from like 1 o'clock in the morning to like 8, and then we finally like crashed out, you know. And it's amazing how much she already knew about me, and because I met her through one of my best friends, Stacy's, and Stacy's like, I got this girlfriend. She's a good country girl. She's nothing like the last one. This one is in love with you. I was like, no, Stacy, come on, man. I said, why are you gonna try to hook me up with your friends? The last one didn't work out good at all. And she's like, no, I promise you, this one loves you. She knows all about your heartbreak and despair. And it's like, oh, great. But, just listening to her talk to me, knowing about my family, because Stacy told her everything about, growing up in the hood, living with my grandma, my uncle, everybody, and how I was raised, because I had a deadbeat father, a mother that couldn't take care of all of her kids, and no fault to her. Just sorry, secretaries and waitresses didn't make much money back in those days. So I got passed around because I was the middle kid. So
Understood.
And I'm stronger because of it. I turned out the best out of all my kids and all. But I learned so many good values from my Uncle Clarence and my Aunt Barbara, and then from my Uncle Joe, and I was lucky to grow up in a
Everybody got Uncle Joe.
lucky to grow up in a multi-cultural family. So, I mean, with my Uncle Clarence being black and my Uncle Joe being Hispanic, I never saw racism. I never knew what that was about. I think that turned me into a good man, as far as having that deep conversation with my wife and stuff like that throughout the years, where I saw her from day one, and she'll tell you, she's like, shoot, we sat there and talked. And
Wow.
I knew that connection, that I loved her, but I couldn't tell her that because I didn't want my heart broken like the first time,
Yeah.
And it took me a while to tell my wife that I loved her, I'm not gonna lie. She told me from day one, and she was strong in her convictions, and she knew what she wanted out of life. And like I said, that's why we've been married for over 30 years now. I mean, it's a blessing. I mean, God blessed me with the perfect woman. So, and so,
what you got for me, Sam? What you got for me?
It was a matter, well, speaking for now, it's been 13 we've been together now, 13 years, technically. Though we got married 3.5 years ago.
Okay.
I want to say it was very early on, in the earlier, very early. I want to say within weeks, because we had, caught on to each other so well. We talked so much You know, the phone, you know, we could have easily put Illinois Bell out of business if we wanted to back
Oh,
then.
wow.
In fact, they might have already went out because we was in the cell phone era.
Oh, my goodness. What you got, Mom?
But
I don't even remember. I honestly, I don't. It's been so long.
Let's see, for us, when I finally started opening my mouth, we've been having, because I was too shy in the beginning. We've been having deep
That's all I was
conversations literally ever since, and we just recently had deep conversation literally about this topic. That was so funny. It's about this.
wow.
It's never planned, and usually we think it's gonna be a short
Right.
conversation,
Right.
and somehow we look at the clock and it's like 2 hours have passed, and we look at each other like, dang, it's 2 hours already.
Oh,
It's really weird how, or I'm not gonna say weird. It's really comforting when you can have somebody on the same intellectual as well as state of mind as you.
Yeah.
And I think that helps a lot as far as the flow of the relationship. Because if you're not on that level, that same level,
Mhm.
I mean, I know they say opposites attract, but I don't think they meant in that. I think you should at least be on the same page. I would hope they wouldn't talk about that, but I couldn't see how that worked. But
Right.
just being on the same mental wavelength, that intellectual flow, when you have that, it's easy to get lost in conversation.
It is. Oh
Like
my
that.
goodness. Oh my
Because
goodness. The connection is so
with all
strong.
this type of-
Because sometimes we just start talking about stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's no specific time. It's just we just start talking about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when.
Or I'll
And
be
then
watching something and I give my opinion, like I'll pause it and I'll be like, now you know what? That really just made me mad, and I'm gonna tell you why. And then I'll go into why it made me angry, and then he give you the feedback, and that's not a conversation.
There it is. There it is.
It's
just
good,
open
but
up
it's
and start talking.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
That's why I say I really can't pinpoint no specific time. Because sometimes we might be sitting up having a cocktail and we just, there it is.
Yep, there it is. There's the conversation.
You reminiscing about something,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
when we
feed.
when we got
Mhm.
when we got married back in April of 2019, we did something very unique during the ceremony,
Mhm.
and we had this time, this you know the clock, the time clock with the sand.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. This
Yeah.
sand
Yeah.
dune.
We
Yeah.
we did the whole pour the sand into the time thing because for us time meant everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
this right here is
we-
my beautiful wife of 30 years.
hey, beautiful wife for 30 years.
We're talking about relationships today. So of course now I'm doing the groceries. I've already did
Okay.
the bathroom.
Yep.
So I did the garbage, the dishes. So, because she just getting home for the day, and
Uh-oh.
she worked too dang hard,
Yep.
I tell
There
you.
you go. There
She's
you
my rock.
go.
I
There you
know
go,
that's
Rodney. That's what's up, man. That's what's up, bro.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Loving that, bro. Loving that. Well,
Yeah.
Yep.
everybody,
That's
I gotta really, really, really thank everybody, my beautiful wifey, my boy Sam, Pat, co-host, my mom, man, Rodney. Thank you all for coming.
Yes.
This has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation topic. It's been a blessing.
Yes,
It's
it
been
has.
a real
Yes,
live
it
blessing.
has.
And I also feel like it's been therapeutic too.
It has, because
Okay.
I learned some other stuff from y'all talking too that I haven't inserted into my relationship style with my wife. So
Hey.
that's even more that I could work on, because not everybody's perfect in their
That's
and
true.
their
But that's
lifestyle.
another reason why I try to do these things. I try to be proactive, not only just for the people themselves, but also give people things to learn from one another, because I feel like if we're learning from one another, those are tools that we carry with us for the rest of our lives. And you
Yeah.
can never say that we're unarmed because we got what we needed.
But I think we need to do this again, but this time everyone's spouses should be on.
Uh-oh.
And
Uh-oh.
yeah, that like a couples therapy type thing going on,
All right, everybody. I'm gonna set everything up, get us ready for the next one. I do appreciate everybody. Thank you all. I greatly appreciate you all.
Enjoy your Sunday, the rest of your Sunday. Lay back, relax, unwind. Yeah.
Peace and blessings, everybody. It's your
Bye.
boy YTP from YTP Entertainment. Thank you. You all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, rest of your weekend, the whole 9. We are out of here. Peace.
Bad love. Peace.